One. What's up, everybody? Chris over here, head trader, and I guess founder. Yeah, I always forget that. Founder proprietor of Pollinate Trading, and I am the techno. What did I'm going to take Elon's title. What was that title he took today? Chief
Techno King.
Chief Techno King of Pollinate Trading. Self identified. And today I'm with one of our resident crypto expert, Aaron Rennell, who actually is being doxxed at this very moment as Crypto Derrick Zoolander. This is Crypto Derrick, and the hair is the same, the looks the same. They're worried about ants and not getting proper study facilities, things like that. So Aaron put together a wonderful DeFi report for us, kind of a like, hey, you want to get into crypto? Let's start here. Get you a wallet. Now you want to get into some of those other names? Do this. And guess what? If you want to get into DeFi, here's how you do that. So great. We put it up on the website. It's pollinatetrading.com/how-to-DeFi. There's a dash between each one, I believe. And you can see his work and catch him at Crypto Derrick Zoolander on Twitter. Aaron, what's up?
What's up, man? How are you doing? Seems like it's not a bullish morning in crypto, but it's a great time to talk regardless. Probably a good time to, give people some thoughts on the current state of the markets, I would think.
Yeah. We let's start it off. This weekend we made 62,000 on the Bitcoins, and have since given all that back. Started our weekend off strong and gave it all the way back today. We're down to about 56, so 6,000 points off the high, which is only 5%. It's not that big of a deal.
No, I mean, I don't think I'm worried. I don't think you're worried. I think it's more of at this point, we've had such a crazy run up into February. There's a lot of sectors going crazy. Obviously, Bitcoin started it off, a few months ago. That led to some pretty crazy alt rallies, and also some NFT stuff happening right now. But I know I've been getting hit up more by newer market entrants, and I was just, wondering is there any advice you would give to, newer people getting in right now that are maybe a little nervous by the current market action?
Yeah, well, if anytime you're buying the actual top, I mean, we are at the most recent top, whether this lasts a week, a month, 3 or 4 years, or 5 more minutes. I think one of the best ways to, if you're just wanting to get exposure, you got to get Bitcoin, and you just, put a little bit in there, and probably, if you're not into crypto, I guess that would be if you're not already in, just get exposure to Bitcoin, get comfortable with it. The UX is always a challenge in crypto, but Coinbase has proven that was a major hurdle for people to get into crypto, and they've done a really good job with it. They're proud of their work, so they charge a good fee. But as far as the safest exchange you could probably deal with, they're Gemini, Kraken, probably the top 3, at least in the United States. If you're international, it's a little bit different. And then I say get a little bit in there. Expect it to go, take a retest down to 20,000 sometime in the next, I don't know, week, month, year, never. And then try to dollar cost average as you learn a little bit more about it. That's pretty much the general explanation, I say. Yeah,
I think that's really good advice. I mean, most people, ask me, and they really have zero crypto knowledge, and maybe they have some knowledge in the stock market. But as we both know, the markets are very different. As you remind us all the time, there's different incentives for both markets. And it's really important that you identify between the two before you just start putting money in. we've talked about stocks a lot, but I feel like crypto, you know, Bitcoin is more of a macro kind of play. And you know, that's why a lot of bigger investors have gotten in there. They understand those incentives, but the rest of it is almost just like a venture bet at the end of the day. And you know, you can tell as soon as you get in, there's just so much the hopium, I guess, is the best term in a lot of the projects. And it's like just so important that you kind of keep an even keel on your expectations. And, you know, you kind of I've been kind of going in between looking at these decentralized options and then trying to find a centralized option that is maybe better, and kind of like compare between the two and just really keep myself in check, because it's so easy to get like really high hopes, like, oh, it's going to change the world, it's a revolution, which, you know, a lot of it could do this. It's definitely looking more bullish now, for obviously Bitcoin. Ethereum has come a long way, and we have many others to obviously talk about, but to get back to that point, yeah, I just kind of tell my friends, download Coinbase, literally just look at the coins on there, research them, and just pick one you like. Because, you know, I remember back when I started, that's what I did. I just researched and I picked one. I knew nothing about trading. I picked XLM back in the day. I was like, oh, it's a really cool payment coin, like it's fast. And at the time, that narrative was pretty prevalent, the speed of payments. At this point, it's not even a great narrative to bet on. Like everything is fast. You know, Venmo has instant transfer now, and that's, you know, I'd rather use Venmo than XLM to send payments personally. But yeah, that's something I've just been telling people to do. Just keep it easy. But they honestly, it's really funny. A lot of people don't really want to take that advice. They want to just dive straight in, and it's all good.
I mean, we do need people. We do need people to sell to. No, there's. I would absolutely agree with that. Like, you know, if you can't get your head around Bitcoin, don't jump straight into Aave, or, you know, like, then you got food. Like, there's food coins that are multi-billion-dollar projects. One's good, you know, one's bad. For example, Pancake today.
yeah, sushi is good. Sushi used to be really bad. Actually has a great story. I won't get into that right this second, but just to touch on Pancake, like, wow, just really bad mistake there. And, you know, for anybody listening out there, you know, Pancake's run by Binance. You need to be really careful with Binance. I mean, it's a good product, don't get me wrong, like the website, but like that carelessness, like that's their product, and it basically revealed people's private keys, you know, on their website. So that allows someone to just hack into your wallet, steal all your money, and that's something you don't want at all. You know,
you explained that one perfectly. You don't want to lose your money.
yeah, it's sort of like I could go really like deep into those concepts, but it's not really worth it. I mean, you just don't want, like, it's the concept of like a public key is like an email address, I guess, like more analogous to like okay, you can see someone's username or email, but you can't see their password. So
or read their emails.
Yeah, or read their emails, you know, get in there and everything. So, you know, it's a little bit tenuous right now. There was that hack. There was also another hack over the weekend. I don't know if you've heard about these or not, but there are these things called social tokens that are it's literally in its infancy, but it's the idea of like, let's say you're like, I want to make a Chris coin, right? Just you can invest in me. You could set up different incentives for the Chris coin. Like, I mean, it's almost like Patreon, but like less money taken out of your pocket. I mean, you get all the money. So I think it's a really cool concept, but they got hacked because of carelessness over the weekend. And I mean, I started looking into some of these social coins because it seems like a good idea. But I mean, the hack it was really careless. They also had a similar thing where somebody was able to grab their private keys and just dump a bunch of coins. It was hilarious. Like, you could have looked at any of these coins. One of them went to 0. So if you were an opportunist, you could have. I wasn't awake, unfortunately, but literally went to 0 back up to $4 in a day. So I mean,
yeah.
there are those kind of opportunities all the time if you don't like sleep.
And yeah, and crypto is 24/7, so there's no weekends off, and the weekends tend to be prime time for tomfoolery, shenanigans. But let's wrap it up real quick on the idea of like, if you're just getting into it, pretty much if you can get if it's listed on Gemini, Kraken, or Coinbase, you're probably they're going to have a level of code review. They're going to have a level of trust that they're basically signing off that, you can outsource a little bit of your trust to them if you're to start looking, as opposed to just, pulling up coin market cap and finding, whichever one's trading at 0.00003, and then just, aping into those. Now, if you, not to say that's not a great strategy, if you're in the game and, you are technically, you don't even have to, like, if you just want to go down that rabbit hole and you're into it, that's cool too. Like, you have total access. The thing about it, crypto is a meritocracy. Anybody can have access to it. You just have to be smart enough to figure out how to get access to it. And that's, it doesn't matter. You need an internet connection mostly. And you need a way to get access to it. And, there's ways to actually not even enter a dollar into the system and be able to start making, or peso or whatever, and start, collecting cryptocurrency for work, the proof of work idea. You could watch a video on a project on Coinbase, for example, and you'll be rewarded with cryptocurrency. So there's actually ways that you wouldn't even need to, other than just opening, getting access to a wallet and these places. There's some places out there that you'll get paid to watch commercials, or, there's just so many different ways to actually get access to the market without even money. So you can go down those rabbit holes left and right. But if you are listening to this episode, you're probably interested in going further down the rabbit hole and getting into DeFi. I did an episode with Carter Thomas a few weeks back. And my first episode with Carter was before the summertime. And he was just saying DeFi is where it's at. And I was like, okay. And then we went from like nothing to $40 billion in total DeFi products, or on staked. I think it's 40 billion staked on DeFi at the moment.
Yeah, the metrics like total value locked.
Value locked. There you go. Yeah.
So I mean, but you're exactly right. It's just how many people are staking the asset in either liquidity pool, or they have these things called like vaults, which just are single-sided liquidity, and you just earn a yield on that. The liquidity pools are a little more complicated, but yeah, I mean, I think actually a great place to start with the DeFi, and you've been talking about this a lot in Pollinate Lab, but just the staking opportunities on exchanges, because I feel like that's a really easy way for people to just participate, and it's so easy, and what's offered in traditional finance, I mean, doesn't even come close to that right now. It's crazy.
So what we're referring to here is, so you can actually get access to staking DeFi. First of all, let's go like, okay, you've got Bitcoin, Ethereum, the old names, and then you have the newer names, this whole DeFi space. So if I was to own Bitcoin or Litecoin or Dash or, any of those, I own it. That's it. And, I'm basically looking at it as a store of wealth or store of value, and probably an appreciative price. Like, I'm hoping that the price goes higher, so my US dollar value goes up. Now, if you start looking at things in value of Bitcoin or Ethereum, or like stacking sats, or even, growing your money, then you start looking at this thing called DeFi, so decentralized finance. And so Kraken, Gemini, and Coinbase, all three allow you to stake, or we'll call it stake. So There's a couple of ways to do it. One is, you get your wallet, you put it to USDC, and then you send it out to like Aave or one of these DeFi exchanges, and you can kind of mess around with all those sort of things. Or if you would rather just outsource that, it's, for example, Polkadot and Kasama are two level 1 chains that basically, well, one's a side chain, I think a testnet for Kasama is a testnet for DOT, but you could go out and buy DOT, stake DOT, and make about 20% interest on DOT. Or, and this is the route that I suggest most people do, is you go to, let's say, Kraken, and you earn 12% for the fact that all you have to do is have your money in Kraken, go to staking, buy that thing, and stake it. That's so you're paying 8%. Yeah, that's a great business for Kraken, but you have all of their security and you have all of that, everything back in it that makes it just so much easier. So you can spend 2 minutes doing this whole process, or the next 3 weeks trying to figure it out.
Yeah, I agree with that. The more on-chain stuff for staking is a bit more complex, and I wouldn't want someone that's just starting out to jump into that, unless you happen to be, maybe a computer engineer, because the space does give an edge to those type of people, just because a lot of it's very technical. But those like Coinbase, Kraken, Gemini all have great staking options. To go one level, I guess above that, we've got Blockfi and there's Celsius. Blockfi, offers pretty good yield on your Bitcoin. I don't know, is it 6.5% right now still, or is it up to 7, or is it lower?
It says 6 to 7. I think right around 6. Same with Ethereum. Yeah.
And I mean, it's funny. I finally got, a friend to do this, and he was just so happy he was like, oh my God, like the rate at this is compounding, on BlockFi with this 7% is amazing. And I was like, dude, I'm just so happy you did it. Cause just think about if you had done it 6 months ago, like, on top of this. And obviously, if you do want this is not a good time to probably lever up or take out loans. I wouldn't recommend. I think Chris would also not recommend, hey, don't lever up super hard right now. But BlockFi has the option to take out loans against your Bitcoin, which is honestly amazing. And Celsius kind of has that option as well. I'm not like a huge Celsius person. I just mention it just because it has like 30 different assets on it. If you own other crypto, there's some options for you there, and it's it feels similar to BlockFi, where there's a little bit of hand holding, which honestly like is great when you first start getting into crypto. But to go one step further, I did want to like touch on Aave, which is a project I invested in a while ago. Aave is honestly, it's kind of like a classic savings and loan bank, but digital. That's really kind of the model for it. I can use it as a savings account and get some yields on my assets. They have you can pretty much put any major crypto asset, including, the DeFi blue chips, which are like YFI, Aave, Compound, SNX, maybe a few others. Sushi and Uni, of course. And you can put any of those tokens plus like Wrap, Bitcoin, Link. I don't know. I could go on, but anyway, go check out Aave. You can pretty much put every asset on there. And then you can take a loan out against that. The one thing that's different about Aave and traditional finance is they use under collateralized loans, which essentially means like, so if you go to a bank with like 100,000, I think you could get out like, I don't know, 3 times that, 2 times that, something like that, I would guess. I'm not exactly sure, but like if you go to Aave with that same amount, you could probably only take out like 40, 50K. And that's how they kind of limit their risk there, because they actually don't use like a credit score or anything to take out that loan. Which is for me, like, I mean, it's interesting. I talked to a few people in the group, and they'll be like, but like tradition, and I'll kind of phrase it like this, like the ease of getting out the loan is crazy. Like the fact that I can get out that money within seconds is insane, um, to say the least. And a lot of people use these loans to kind of do quick arbitrage trades, the far bigger whales, and that is not what I would recommend a normal person do. I would say, do your research, and this could be a really good opportunity to take out a quick loan. But it is also one of the most popular places, so the rates fluctuate a lot. But I mean, Aave's long-term goal is obviously to just be a digital bank. Hopefully they will have more options for collateral and lending moving forward. But I mean, the market size is fairly big. It's gone from, anywhere from, a billion to at its peak, I think it was 6-7 billion market size, which is great for small fish. But obviously, like, if you're a bigger institutional person, that's like nothing in the grand scheme of things. But that's a project I like a lot, and I'll probably invest in for the long term, I would say.
Yeah, one of the cool things about that is, as you were saying, like, if you're not like, if you're just saying, hey, I just want Bitcoin, and never sell, having the ability to borrow against it is how you create wealth. You don't create wealth by getting stopped out of a trade when you're over levered. Sitting in a position long enough to collect and just, stay within the bull market is really, really important. And when you have something like a Blockfi, a Celsius, you can, issue yourself $5,000. Let's say you own one Bitcoin, so that's $55,000. They'll loan you out 50% of that amount. So you have to be pretty confident that you're never going to go below 30,000, or you're going to get a margin call from Blockfi, right? Or they're just going to liquidate you. Or the other thing is just don't borrow, 50%. A lot of people I know that they've levered up. A lot of people went out and they borrowed $25,000, $30,000 on, for the half of a Bitcoin thing. And, if we have a down move where we see that price again, you lose it all. And hopefully I know what's going to happen is if Bitcoin starts going down like that, everything is going to be affected. So if you're taking your loan and then staking something else where, you're making 20% on DOT, for example, DOT's going to get face ripped just like Bitcoin at the same time. So you're going to have, all sorts of pain there too. Anyway,
yeah, I mean, that's a
great options.
I was going to say, it's kind of interesting though that you bring that up, because also Blockfi offers yield on USDC stablecoin, which is a useful thing to have. I think it's like 8.5%, which is amazing, just on the stablecoin on Blockfi. And that's a really easy option. If you're worried about any market risk, grab some stablecoin, stake that easily in Blockfi. And
8.6%.
That's a market return in traditional finance, which is crazy, like,
yeah.
I was telling my parents, I'm like, I can just park you here. There's really there's, I guess, institutional risk with Blockfi maybe, but I don't really feel that they're trustworthy. I like them.
Well, they're great. They're venture backed, and they just picked up another 250 million last week from a C or a D round.
It's
and they got credit cards coming.
I'll be getting one. I want as many. I want a Coinbase card, a Blockfi card. Give me all of them. Gemini card.
For sure.
But also, I was going to say, just to touch on the DeFi side, because we're kind of talking about Aave and like staking your Bitcoin. So one thing that they've actually developed, kind of like in the DeFi world, is you're able to bridge your Bitcoin over to Ethereum right now, using a few different protocols. There's one called Ren, which is really cool. They have, I think it's called Ren BTC, and they have a bunch of different assets on there. It's a really good protocol. I honestly recommend checking it out. They have a coin. I don't have any opinion on investing in the coin. I just really like the product. Um, uh, Also, the oldest one is called WBTC, which is actually BitGo, if you're familiar with that company. They're pretty big, well known. They basically, you send them a Bitcoin, they store it for you in their custody, which is honestly one of the better custody systems. And then they essentially just issue you like, you know, an ERC20 token, which is just an Ethereum token, which is essentially backed one-to-one by Bitcoin. They have them on Coinbase too. If you just, honestly, for me, it's like, I don't want to just swap my Bitcoin for a WBTC on Coinbase. Personally, I'd rather go through the whole process and everything. But once you get it over to like the Ethereum blockchain and hopefully other blockchains in the future, you can get some insane yield on that Bitcoin. And then you could take that Bitcoin and store it in Aave. Obviously, when you're taking a loan out, for anybody out there, don't take out crypto against your crypto. That is just not a good idea. I think, you know, it's pretty obvious to me why that's, but obviously the crypto is going to go up after you take it out, most likely. So take out a stable yield like a USDT or a USDC or whatever. They have honestly like 5 or 6 different stablecoin options now. I think Gemini as well has a stablecoin that's available on Aave. So yeah, you have a lot of options there. That's obviously a little more advanced technique, but it's pretty cool. I've seen it used in a number of ways, for sure.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll convince Derrick to scribe another article on wrapped BTC and or getting Bitcoin on Ethereum and
yeah. I mean, it would be really cool if we had more options. And I mean, that's actually a good point of topic. It's like, so right now for DeFi, we're actually kind of limited. You know, we will only really have Ethereum, which I like Ethereum. Like, I mean, I think if anybody is kind of like a tech nerd or, you know, likes technology, it's really easy to get into Ethereum. But it is really good to understand that it's a venture bet. You can't really compare Ethereum to Bitcoin because I think, like, I mean, I hope people know this, but Bitcoin is finished. I don't know if people really understand that it's a finished product and that, you know, in a year, it's not going to change much. It's going to be fine. It's going to be solid. But in a year, I don't know where Ethereum's going to be. Like, I'll be honest.
1559 got approved.
Yeah, I'm pretty optimistic on that. I'm going to be honest. I mean, that's probably the best way to be. I don't think it's great to be pessimistic about that because it could really change everything. I mean, there's a really good really good podcast recently with Naval Ravikant and Vitalik. And, you know, he really gave a high level explanation of kind of the scaling of ETH2 and where that's going. And, you know, the one differentiation, I think it's interesting because this moment is definitely comparable to like the Bitcoin Cash thing back in the day.
Yeah.
Which if you're in the space, you remembered how it was pretty crazy. This guy named Roger Ver, who's pretty he's a huge libertarian, and just very much disagreed with the way Bitcoin was going, which I didn't understand at the time either. Just because, I don't know, there's something about bigger blocks. You can go Google that. But regardless, they forked the coin. We all got a bunch of free Bitcoin Cash. And what happened? We dumped it for Bitcoin. That's what everybody did. It ran up and then we dumped it for Bitcoin. I don't know what he expected. So it's actually similar with ETH2 at this point because the majority of the support is for ETH2. It's just the miners that want to not upgrade for obviously they're making so much money on fees. Like it is insane. You know, the transaction fees on Ethereum are very high right now. I would really not recommend people with like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to mean this. I mean this in the best way, but you need to have, you know, 50 to 100K to be playing around on ETH right now because the fees are just really high. And if you're not calculated in what you're doing, you're just going to waste a lot of money. It's just how it is right now. There are good moves, but like until we get the scaling up, it's just, you know, I wouldn't recommend it to people with not a lot of money because it's really easy to just lose. in a number of ways. Like you'll input a gas fee wrong, the fee is gone. You just lost $50 on a failed transaction. So
Well,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to come in. It's like there's, there's a lot that's about to happen, and as Aaron mentions here, we're so in 2017, Roger Ver basically was saying Bitcoin's not usable. Everybody's just holding it, and we need to be able to like buy a cup of coffee with it, and that was kind of like his line in the sand. He released it. It was a wild weekend. There was the flippening talk and like prices just, and then dumped right after. So with the Ethereum thing, like we know it was approved. We know it's coming. April 1st, the miners are talking, and this is where it actually gets really interesting, because crypto does a lot of things that you don't think about. There's so many, let's just call them beautiful minds in this game, and it's an unregulated world. So there are a lot of people who are willing to play these games that is just a code exploit. All they have to do, or they do some sort of, they do some transaction that just somehow, some way they figure these little things out, and the effects is, everybody's like, oh, Ethereum's going up in price, so I'm going to buy Ethereum. But they don't actually understand what's happening in the back end there when you get, miners all colluding on a single mining pool, or choosing a different chain to support. And that's kind of this proof of stake solves that part a little bit, or it does, and that's probably why they don't like it. But there's going to be games. You're talking about some of the most brilliant people in the world. They definitely are on Ethereum. There's some pretty smart people that do Bitcoin, but the shenanigans that can be done on Bitcoin, as Aaron was saying, is pretty much not really existent anymore. You got your miners, you got your nodes, you got your owners, and everybody's taking it off exchange. So you're not really doing anything to Bitcoin like you can with Ethereum. Ethereum is going to continue to change, and everything is being built on top of Ethereum in this 40 billion total staked or total locked market. There's going to be some craziness. There's going to be some things happening. We think at the moment, everybody's saying the miners are going to flip to Ethermine. I forget what it is, but a certain mining pool or something.
Yeah, I saw that. It's kind of funny because thinking about this, I'm like, their network is actually already out there. It's called Ethereum Classic. It's already a proof of work network, and It's just funny because they might be forced to go to that. And like you said, all the beautiful minds are actually on Ethereum, and this is true. If you take some time, like some founders I really like, Yearn Finance, like the guy that runs it, his name's Andre Cronje or Cronje or something. He's South African. It's really funny because he looks a lot like Elon Musk, and me and my friends have an inside joke. I'm like, is this his illegitimate kid or something? Because he's a genius. Like, seriously, if you go read or look at the kind of stuff he's into, super smart. And it's interesting with these projects because another project I invested in is Synthetics SNX, which Carter talked about a bit. So I don't really think I need to get too far into that, other than, I saw Andre hop over there and start working on some stuff there. So it's very interesting. All the founders really work together. It's a very communal aspect, and like you said, like, because the lack of regulation in this space, like things move at light speed. You cannot miss a beat sometimes, let's say. There's a new thing happening every week. And I think I saw that more recently. It was like 1 week Binance chain is hot, and Pancake Swap has now like 20x for some reason. And it's funny because it's like, as someone that's in the space, I was looking at Pancake Swap, and I was just like, why would I buy this? And I've come to realize it's like, you got to find the bull case at this point. We're in a bull market. I mean, maybe it's a little too late now that we're in a volatile period, but it's still a good thing to keep in mind. But anyway, it was like pancake swap one week. Now it's NFTs. Now it's ETH killer. I don't know. It's crazy the amount of different narratives that pop up, and you don't know which one's going to be next. Really, at this point.
Yeah, there is it's moving fast and furious at the moment. That's for sure. It's this definitely was like very similar to the 2017 ICO craze. This summer was with the DeFi summer, like crazy wildness that happened over the summer. That is way different than the ICOs. You know, that it's just way different than the ICOs when you know, you'll double your money in, was it something like 7 years if you just have USDC. I think it's 7 years. Every 7 years, if you own USDC at, you know, 7-8% that they're paying right now, you'll double your money. And, you know, the only risk you have is the dollar losing value. So then you put the other half in Bitcoin and you're hedged. But you know, there's so there's so much amazing opportunity in that simple method that reaching into DeFi is useful. Reaching way into DeFi without the ability to review code is a little like, if you can't, well, let me think this way. If you can't review code and validate it, then you're one tier down from the person who can do it and can figure out how to get you, how to take your money for you. And then there's, you know, the community. And then, because you can get on all these Telegram communities and ask for support or something like that, and they'll steal your money from you. There's there's so many ways to be taken. And, you know, for the most part, no offense, but you're not the smartest person and I'm not talking about you, Aaron, you are. But most likely you're not the smartest person in that space. There's somebody who's so much better at you. And there's probably about 1,000 of them in every single market out there that are substantially better than you and that are gaming things and ready to flip you at any moment.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. It's like a really good example of that is so I actually, one of my strategies, and this is kind of like I share it with some people, but this is like seriously like huge alpha. Like I follow huge whale addresses. Like I have Sam Bankman-Fried's address. I have the Three Arrows people's addresses and like whatnot. And that tips me off a lot. And I do want to say, if you have the knowledge and you're willing to explore, you can find a lot of stuff just by going on this site called Etherscan. It's free, it's open. That's the thing about the blockchain, is you can find all the top holders of any coin, any top users of different protocols. It's all out there for you to look for. And if you're willing to look, you can find a lot. So like Sam is probably, I don't know, he might be the biggest person in this space. I'm gonna be honest. Like his wallet has over $1 billion in it. I'm not gonna lie. Like I'm just telling people out there, watch out for Sam. If you're not betting on Sam coins right now and you're outside of the US, I don't know what you're doing. I'll be honest. That's free. Go bet on some Sam coins. He's huge. And the stuff that he does, it's funny. There's this huge farm that came out a month ago, and it's called Big Data Protocol. Within the first day, it had $6 billion locked into it. And honestly, I looked at the product and it was sort of like, it's like 50-50 whether it's a scam or not, but like the management team seemed okay. I don't know. It didn't seem like, I wasn't like, I'm not going to get rugged the first day, but like, you know, basically what I saw him do with that, because he has so much money, right, is the APR, like first off, 1,000% APR on this pool in a week. And I mean, you're getting paid in this BDP token, which is, you know, so basically what he does is he dumps all of his money into the farm, $1 billion into this pool, proceeds to just pump the price up and then just dump on everybody. And I watched him do it, and I'm like, damn it, I'm in the farm. Like,
Yeah.
But thankfully I was farming the token, so my risk there is very low. I just paid for gas. It's like I'm getting a free token, just staking. Like, they were just like, put your Aave in the pool, get 1,000% yield. I was like, whatever, sounds good to me. And honestly, the more interesting about it is, like, this is how they chose to do their token distribution, which is actually pretty interesting. I mean, I guess it's fair. It's fairer than some things where you see, like, a bunch of VCs got, the early round, or, they allocated a bunch to the team that's going to dump on you. And that's actually, that's something interesting to take note of. Also, just circling back to, like, how this is like VC stuff. A lot of these protocols or crypto companies, they will release their token distribution before, and this is something you should for sure look at, just to make sure that the team's not going to dump on you too hard at some point.
Or be prepared for, have a plan for.
Yeah.
Like
So
EOS and XRP is the biggest examples that I know of that.
Yeah, that's actually really easy. And it's funny, it's like, man, EOS, it's like, that's a good example of, like, you don't buy an old narrative in this, because I've been watching it because it's like so popular, and it literally just bumped from 3 to 4 in the last like 2 months. And I'm like, man, imagine if you had bet on that old narrative instead of like DOT, for example, which is a good. I actually wanted to ask you a bit about DOT, because the parachain auction is coming up. Probably this summer, I think, is what they're shooting for. And people probably, it's a good opportunity to look at DOT now in the DOT ecosystem, because it's in testnet phase. So nothing's live, and you can have time to strategize a little bit here and see how you can, get in on certain things that are, going to be hot in that space.
I think DOT is, we're always grasping at the previous narrative, right? So a lot of it is DOT's the new ETH, right? So you can definitely see that parallel, and you can see where it's interesting. Had you had the ability to get access to ETH, not classic, but ETH, back when it was just, single digits or low double digits, you're looking at about $2,000 per ETH right now, based on, priced in dollars, 1768. If that's the thing, then it could very well be, DOT could very well be the new ETH, because of what you can do. It's a layer 1, so it is its own blockchain, in the sense that you can build on top of it. It's pretty cool with the Kasama, basically Kasama and DOT are the same, but Kasama is it's the sandbox for DOT. If a project gets, they, instead of releasing it on DOT, they do it on Kasama first. Kasama, KSM.
Yeah,
Kasama.
You got it.
They do it there first. And what's great about that is, if back to the old narrative of what happened in 2017, like things ICO'd, things got released, and you're like, oh, cool. I'll put this in my, I'll get a wallet here and I'll put it on there, and boom, there goes all your money. And you're like, wait, what just happened? You're like, well, you don't review the code. And it's, ETH is just the wild, wild west in a lot of places. So at least it's kind of cool what they're doing with that protocol, so that before it gets on DOT, it has to go through a bunch of things. And it's, they have a lot of tools that are out there and available. And like, if I was to jump into crypto and say, you know what, I want to get into the engineering side of this, and I want to build on top of these things, I would probably be looking at Polkadot. And there's a language out there, they used Rust. So which is, it's a programming language that's been out for a while. So it's not just kind of like, hey, I just made this magic internet money and magic internet language. Have fun. it's got non-crypto use as well as crypto use. So that's kind of nice and interesting about that. But I'm in DOT. I stake DOT, Kasama. I stake Kasama, and a few others. And I'm very comfortable with DOT for now. Une is another. That thing blew up. Jeez.
I mean, there's Uni's a very honestly like a crazy project. But I was gonna say on Dot's end, like yeah, I own some Dot too. I mean, like it's such an easy thing like to buy. I feel like it's very low risk. Like I would even tell people to buy Dot now. Like
yeah.
Like compared to other stuff that's out there, just so you know, it's low risk. You can stake it, you can start earning yield and whatnot. And honestly, like what you just touched on with Rust is pretty interesting too, because you know, on Ethereum they created their own language. I think it's called Solidity or something.
Solidity, yeah.
And to be honest, I've heard a lot of complaints from engineers using it. They're just like, this is a weird language. But like it's kind of interesting just getting into the coding part. I had starting to work on analogy kind of for ETH. I almost think ETH is like a JavaScript type language where it's like most of the web is just has JavaScript, I think, if I'm not mistaken, and it's like a really archaic, like long-winded like language, but for some reason we still build on it.
Well, it's because it can execute safely on your own device.
Yeah. So I think that's an important thing, the safety stuff. And you know, maybe layer 1 ETH could be a little bit analogous to JavaScript, but you know, as they expand to layer 2, there will be security challenges, speed challenges, all sorts of stuff. But back to Dot, look into Dot. You know, I played around on PokeSwap recently, which is this, like similar to Uniswap, where you can just swap Polkadot assets. It was really easy to set up. It took me like, I don't know, all of a few minutes to kind of get on there. There's basically
let me just clarify what you got there is. So to swap on PolkaSwap, it's everything, like every
no. So it's like a testnet version. So most of these things are kind of like very limited. You know, when you get on there, I'll back up a little bit. You need to create a wallet. So I'd recommend this one that I found that's really easy called, I think it's just polkadot.js.org. It's just like a little Chrome extension wallet, and don't use this seriously to store your dot, but it's good to play around on the testnet with, because also I'll stipulate the assets on the testnet are fake. So there's very low risk for you. You're not wasting any money. Gotcha. You just get to explore the functionality of the different, you know, sites that are coming out. So like PokeSwap is like Uniswap. You basically go on there. There's like a faucet you can use just to create an asset. Basically, it just comes out with like 100 PokeSwap or something, and then you can play around kind of just swapping the different assets. And I would also recommend doing this because you never know if you're going to get an airdrop. It's a very popular thing in crypto to give out airdrops to people that, you know, help you test or help use the protocol in the early days. I mean, now going back to Uniswap had probably the most epic airdrop ever. Basically, they gave everyone, and I'll be honest, I missed this by 2 weeks because for me, it does take me like a month or so to get comfortable with something. Like I'm personally not like a jump feet first type of person in crypto, which is hard. You have to balance with that. But yeah, so I missed the airdrop by a couple weeks because I used it for the first time in like October, but they airdropped to everybody that was an early user like 400 Uni tokens. And by today's standard, I don't even, what is the price of Uni right now? Like
29.
30? So 29 times, you know, almost 12 grand, right? Something like that. I hope it, yeah, almost 12 grand for free. And that is more than the US government gave citizens of the US. And this, I mean, everybody should go look into that Uniswap story if you just want some inspiration, because, you know, it's just the guy that started Hayden Adams, he just went to Stony Brook university, like a normal university, and he got an initial, I think, $100,000 grant from the Ethereum Foundation like 5 years ago, to create basically an automated market maker system, which is, I mean, for those that work in traditional finance, you're familiar with how market makers work in that market. In crypto, it's honestly a very dumbed down version, that automated market maker. It's like you have one person put liquidity, and then the program essentially matches it with the buyer. It's not very complicated. But, you know, it's just I really like it because you see so much, you know, the MBAs or the, you know, so-and-so is creating this company, and it was just an average Joe, you know, that worked really hard, and he created this whole Uniswap thing. It's awesome, you know, great to see. And that's the ethos of the space. I also want a lot of people to understand is it's less traditional finance. It's more people coming from all sorts of different backgrounds, starting these companies and succeeding. And it's awesome.
It really is. It's, you know, Uniswap, well, I guess I want to back up a little bit here. Is like, one really great thing about the space is that you see things like that. There are ways that, I mean, how much do they have? They have like, what, 100 something in their treasury. I don't know how much it is, but, you know, hundreds of millions of dollars. And, you know, a lot of times people will jump on a project just because there's airdrops, or just because, you know, there's certain things, and that's fine. You know, I will point out that there are, you know, more than a dozen ways to actually earn in crypto by just having crypto or doing anything. You know, there's so many ways to make money. Crypto is definitely going to continue to change the world. People don't really realize how big it really is when we talk about Web 3.0. First of all, we have still half of the world, the planet doesn't even have internet yet. And we're able to do these sort of things in a much lighter way. But you can earn money by just writing about crypto. You can tweet about crypto. You can, like Carter did. Carter started twitter.com/ Carter Thomas. Give him a follow. He's worth it. He basically, in 2017, I think he said, it's only 2017, by the way, you know, 4 years ago, he was like, I don't know what this crypto thing is, but let me hit record on the camera and I'll just kind of like study it and share with you guys. You know, the two people, mom and my uncle, who have my YouTube account. I don't know how big it was, but it got massive because of the work he did. He was just like, I'm just going to learn it. He didn't have to go out and create Ethereum and then start a YouTube channel to, you know, like, you can change your life. You know, imagine if you just created content for the last 3 or 4 years, and you know, got paid in on what is it? There's that blogging thing where
Steam, right?
Steam, which then got Justin bought. Speaking of Binance.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing about Steam and also like about crypto is like, so Justin took over, right? But then I believe, you know, actually Vitalik mentioned this in that recent interview. He said, you know, and it's controlled by the community. They were like, I don't like Justin. We're gonna fork this and make Hive. So Hive is the new Steam. If you want to go check that out.
And you can create content.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Somebody. No middleman. That's the beauty of crypto. You know, you're basically replacing any middleman with a smart contract. I mean, after being in the space for a while, I'm like, what would you rather deal with, a person or a smart contract? I don't know. The smart contract is what I would want to deal with. It's very logical. It's straightforward. It knows all the rules. It's not going to deviate from those. So, I mean, back to the reading code, if you can read code, you can look at the smart contract, you can see what it does and know if it's, you know, something you want to interact with.
Yep. So what, Well, one of these days we'll do a whole thing of like, okay, let's put together a career path for somebody who's, who's considering going to school, traditional, or wants to just jump right in and start doing stuff, maybe, or at any age, really. I shouldn't even put it at school, but yeah, one of the interesting things is all those ways that you can actually earn money. Like you could write content and put a referral link to, like I do sometimes, like a Blockfi referral. When you're in the crypto space, when you're opening a new account or when you're doing something, the first thing you usually do is reach out to your friends. He's like, hey, who's got a referral code? And we do that because we know that, that there's a really legit way to, like, you could, just by using Aaron's link, you could make Aaron a millionaire just by using his link. That's the, you get a referral link in something that's 1 penny, and then, it turns into 36,000 in a few months.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's funny you bring that up. I saw someone, maybe it was like Crypto Cobain, which is unfair, but like, so they have referral links for all like Binance, FTX, like whatever. And you basically, if someone uses your link, you just get money towards your trading. And I swear there are some people that, like, they said, I've made 50, 100K off my referral link for Binance. So to the winner goes the spoils. There's a lot of opportunity, right? If you're willing to put in the hard work and whatnot. There's plenty of opportunity. Also, like, recommended is like, I join every Telegram and Discord. If I'm looking at the project, I jump on there immediately and look at everything, see what's going on in the community. And a lot of other stuff. I do a lot of research, and to anyone out there, it's like the one thing I have been realizing recently is, like, I do so much research, but the NFT stuff that has been happening, I was looking straight at and just like watching it go by my head because I was so focused on looking into more DeFi stuff. And it took me this last week to just be like, yo, you literally are invested in like 2 blue chip projects that have a great long-term horizon. Like, maybe you don't need as much DeFi. Maybe you should take a look at these NFT things. So I was lucky enough to grab a Mooncat this week. It was really funny. I guess the analogy is like, imagine if you found an old pack of like trading cards from the 80s and you just opened it. So they basically found an old dormant project from 2017 that was second oldest NFT on the blockchain. And the thing is, the way you had to get is you have to log directly onto Etherscan and interface with the contract. So it's like not like the average Joe would go do this. So I went on there and did all this, and yeah, it did cost me like a few $100s in fees, but I think immediately I got an offer for 0.9 ETH for one of these things. And I'm not going to sell it right away. Like, I mean, the CryptoPunks average is just crazy. And if they're anything like these CryptoPunks, like, I don't know, I'm not in a rush. It came out 5 days ago. That's also something for newer people. Don't expect immediate results. Like, you need to wait a bit. Things you don't make 500x overnight, 10x overnight. So that's a good thing to remember. If you're just getting in and you think you're going to make immediate money in a week, don't think that way. You're in the wrong place, honestly. And in investing in general, I would think, if you're expecting immediate returns, it's not really that good.
Yeah. So I'm purchasing some art. We commissioned some art for our house, sculptor. It's a family member. And basically I reached out to him and I said, look, we own this piece of art. We're buying this piece of art. We're also interested in some other things. If you NFT it or nifty it or whatever word we're going for. Yeah,
I kind of like the nifty. I don't know about you.
I think nifty's great.
Yeah, it's easier.
And they got nifty. What is there's a site that it's actually
Nifty Gateway.
Nifty, right? Gateway. Yeah.
By the way, not Kraken, Gemini owns that.
Oh, good.
So
Nice.
so respect to Gemini for that, because Grimes, Elon Musk's baby mama, wife, I don't know, she dropped her NFTs on there and they sold for quite a pretty penny.
Yeah.
um I don't know, there's somebody very wealthy out there in crypto. Actually, I found this guy, his name's Aito.eth, Aito.eth, and he has a Twitter. It's just an egg. If you type Aito.eth into, like, you can look up his address, and he just has, you can look at all his art. It's pretty crazy. Wow. But he's just an anonymous egg buying tons of crypto art. It's a wild world.
It is. Well, and so, and this is another way that you create wealth is, art doesn't tend to go down and fluctuate the way that, buying, let's say, gold does, because the exchange isn't liquid, and it's not really tied to, like, art isn't really tied to, it's tied to what you believe it is, right? What the value you believe it is. And pretty much everybody's incentivized, especially through the NFTs now, for the prices to either stay the same or go up. And one of the ways is that the artists always get a commission or a fee. So if I was to create a painting, whatever, a digital or even a physical product, I sell that to you, Aaron, for $1,000. I earn that $1,000 or half an ETH, basically. So that's kind of cool. But now Aaron goes out and sells it for a full ETH. I take 15% of that, and then they sell it again and again and again and again. So as an artist, you continue to get paid in perpetuity, as because once it's tokenized, it's pretty much there. That's pretty amazing. One, and two is you could just borrow against it right away. So one of the big reasons I have the art is, it's not so much to look at it, right? There's some people that are collectors and they're really into it for sure. But a big market for art is the store of value, uncorrelated store of value, as opposed to sitting in US dollars or sitting in gold or sitting in Bitcoin or all these other things. If, for example, you bought, I don't know, 100 Bitcoin 10 years ago, what is that? 60 million, 6 million, somewhere, I don't know, whatever, big number. The problem is, like, you want the money, you want the Lambos, you want the fun lifestyle and all that. But the downside is you're going to spend 30, 40, 50% of what you made in taxes. So you've got that 6 million. Yeah, you've got that 6 million and it cost you $5 10 years ago or whatever, right? So now you have a $6 million capital gain. Well, if you use that crypto, and this is where things like Blockfi and everything come in, you borrow against it, right? So now you're not doing a capital gains, you're just getting access to the money, and you pay off your loan or whatever over the next 20 or 30 years. But if you have art has the benefit of being uncorrelated to crypto and uncorrelated to dollars, and it's just what the other world is willing to sell it for. Or you can always go get a valuation of you can get it valued and take a loan on it. But the great thing about the NFTs is you don't actually have to store the art. And if it is a physical thing, that's one side. But if it's just digital, if it's 5,000 daily digital images that you have, you can look at it at any point in time in your life, enjoy it, appreciate it. You can get a picture frame for them. There's all sorts of ways to appreciate them without actually having to pay $2 or $3 million in capital gains to do that. And then you can continue to let it grow. So quick overview of NFTs, of a more traditional, where, how many billions of dollars are in free ports around the world that are available now?
Honestly, you just educated me on that, because I don't know that much about art, I'll be honest. Like, in terms of that, I had no idea it was that uncorrelated. That's super interesting to think about, just for anybody that, building a portfolio, growing their wealth. Like, it's good for me to know. But also, that whole concept of, imagine if Picasso was able to NFT his his painting. Like that is in itself like, wow, you know.
And Picasso's family.
Yeah, and Picasso's family, exactly. And I think, I mean, it's getting started with art right now, obviously, but it's a similar thing you could do with music. You could NFT a song. I think Kings of Leon recently NFT'd their album.
Yep.
And honestly, with the ETH2 upgrade, this will only help enable those kind of things, just because the network will be faster. I mean, just my background in music, it's kind of crazy how the whole industry works, because you kind of come into a deal like the best deal you could get in music is you split 50-50 with a label. And that is just, there's no industry like that.
Even Kanye didn't get that though, right?
Yeah. Even Kanye didn't, like, and that's the best deal I hear about. If you're splitting with the label, is a 50-50 deal, which is just, you know, mind blowing. So if you think about, I mean, it's why a lot of people are starting to go independent. But yeah, I definitely am looking for, you know, some people to NFT some songs, and NFT other things, because I think the concept of the non-fungible token, if you just Google this and look it up on Wikipedia, I mean, it's not just for art. I think of people, art's a great example to start with, but I think you could do this with like real estate, you know, with
I have a friend who's doing a multifamily housing project with an NFT. So as a resident, you purchase the NFT of your condo. And so, yeah. And so everybody sees the value, right? So you always know what the value of your home is. And you know, instead of doing mortgages, like imagine you could just swap an NFT or borrow. Yeah, I mean, there's so many cool things that you could do with it. But go on. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was like, it would be
real estate's a big one.
That is no. I honestly, I've been thinking about that one. I mean, I know there's like a ton of examples, but yeah, like music and real estate are the ones I've heard the most, I guess. And then a little bit about law, like contracts and whatnot, I think could be NFT'd, potentially. So it's sort of like everybody's so caught up in the art, which I get. I mean, it's cool and whatnot, but those are nifties, I think, is what we should call them. And then there's a whole category of other stuff. And, you know, for anybody that has the time or whatever to look into that realm, that's really cool. I mean, I'm starting to kind of look into that a little bit more, but that's not like, I want to preface, that's maybe not like, I don't know about investing or making money there. That's more of a like, hey, things are getting started. If you're a self-starter and you kind of want to get in there as a venture person or something, like that's maybe an area to look.
Yeah. Well, like NBA Top Shop too.
No, I actually wanted to talk.
Probably the easiest way. Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about that too, because they have a coin, Flow, Dapper Labs, that anybody could buy. And again, this is back to me being too smart and researching too much. I could have just bought that coin, like 10. I mean, I'm still probably going to buy it now, be honest. Like it's only $30. I think it started around 510. I mean, come on. Like they've created CryptoKitties, NBA Top Shop. They're easily the number one place for NFTs. I mean, sure, they're centralized and there's certain trade-offs, but like, you know, somebody at my day job literally mentioned this. My boss was like, hey, you guys, have you heard about NBA Top Shop? And I was like, yeah, like it's awesome. You know, I'm glad you're checking it out.
Totally.
And that's definitely the one I hear the most, is that one. And I think it's easy to understand because just there's a huge craze in collectibles and trading cards right now. Also, so people kind of understand that value. I mean, I was looking at some of my old trading cards. I was like, hey, I got a Michael Jordan card. It's worth some money. Crazy.
It's. I mean, even before NBA Top Shop, like this, it's just this year. Collectibles have been maybe last couple of years, but like sneakers and like non-traditional collectibles have just blown up. And you know, sneakers is the example there. And you're just like, wow, I can't believe sneakers. And then you're like, no, this is LeBron dunking on somebody, you know, for $50,000. It's a clip. It's a clip of a dunk. You know, like that's so cool. Or you know, Steph from like half court.
Yeah, I need to look into it, because it's like, imagine if you really did own a piece of that highlight. and like every time they play it anywhere, you're getting a piece. But I don't think that's how it's worked out. Honestly.
I don't think, I mean, maybe there is, you can, put together the best highlight, but if you think about it, here's another, I bring up incentives all the time. So for those of you who are not listening, normally I always look at the incentives here. And if you think about it, there's kind of an incentive to win the dunk contest, or kind of an incentive to put something up big, like a big dunk on somebody or something when you're playing basketball. But what's the outcome? You're going to get a nice, they're going to do it on ESPN or, whatever, Spotbox, wherever they're going to show something about your feat. And that's kind of it. Like, it doesn't really change your salary. It kind of moves the needle. But what if you were Steph Curry and put up a half court shot? Suddenly now Steph's incentivized to do even more incredible things, because there could be a point, within a period of time where they realize, like, actually we can make more money by putting up crazy moves, and we can do it, like, instead of having to do it the whole season, you can just do it once. And you could create a following where, like, every game Steph tries to knock out that half point shot or half court shot or beyond half court, and everybody's watching the game knowing that he's going to do it. So now the incentives are suddenly a lot different. Anyway, I just kind of went down a rabbit hole there, but that's a fun incentive to think about how spectacular basketball could end up being because of NFTs. Nifties.
Oh man, yeah. I mean, that's funny. I've been thinking a lot. So I mean, we're both LeBron fans. I'm a LeBron
now that he's
fan.
at the Lakers.
He's on the Lakers now, thankfully.
It's easy. He's easier to like.
yeah. It's funny. It's like that. I won't get too into the progression of LeBron, but yeah, I definitely liked him more since he got on the Lakers. But yeah, I was thinking back to a particular highlight of any basketball people in the 2016 NBA Finals. LeBron has this crazy chase down block, and for some reason, I've watched it like 10 times this week, and like his whole head is over the basket blocking this shot, and like that's one I would want to buy on NBA Top Shop. I'm like, that's $1 million highlight, multi-million-dollar highlight. So
right, yeah.
If anybody's, I actually, it's funny enough, I haven't even looked.
Maybe you should mint it.
Yeah. If it's not on there, I gotta mint that. But yeah, I mean, the nifty space is just endless. There is a soccer one too for any soccer heads out there called So Rare. It's not as cool, honestly, as the Top Shop. So, but also, like, I don't know, whole different realm. But I mean, I think we've covered a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is there any closing remarks you think it's worth giving people? I don't know. Do we have any opinions on, maybe the next, I guess we're at the end of the quarter, so almost.
Yeah.
Here.
We've got the $2 trillion bill that just got signed last week, and stimmies are going to be coming out. So I think the weekend rally we had was probably, I don't know, maybe an anticipation of that or whatever. That's a lot of, it's a lot of people. 330 million people, $1,400 each. So I don't know if that's the math that people are getting, but there's a potential for a lot of money coming in. There's a lot of money that's been made in the markets. People are, have saved a lot of money. People are starting to figure out how to do crypto. It's still just, in a pretty strong bull run. I haven't seen I haven't seen any reason to think that we're done. I kind of feel like we're in more of a, like, the excitement has kind of cooled off a little bit, and everybody's chasing a single coin that's going to rip. There's always looking for whatever's moving and then jumping on it, or token or project or whatever. So I think that's going to continue. The way we're doing it is we're in a basket of the blue chips, and also some of the others. And really simply, it's like, okay, be in the ones that are paying the highest staking fees on the big exchanges. Be in those, because new money is coming to the market every week, every month. And they're gonna see a headline, or whatever, the advertisement of like 12% staking. So they're just gonna, kind of pile into those. That's what I'm doing on the speculative ones, and then I'm mostly just focused on being in Bitcoin. I did recently take half of my Bitcoin and flip it into Ethereum. See how wise that move was, but this is my one trade a year account. So
I'll be honest. I've had a gut feeling that I don't have enough Ethereum recently. I mean, so for most of out of anything, I'm probably more of a DeFi maxi than anything. Like I hold mostly DeFi tokens. I traded my ETH for DeFi tokens and it worked out pretty well. But we're at a place where I'm like, my gut's like, I don't have enough ETH. I need more. So thankfully, I think I will acquire some this week. So
nice.
Should be good.
Nice.
Should be fine there. But yeah, I mean, I'm optimistic for the rest of the year. But I do think, I mean, eventually this will end, but I don't think we need to worry about that this year. But my gut has been telling me it wouldn't be surprising if there was a scare and we just scared everybody with a huge drop right in the next week and then just face rip. You know what I mean? That was, it's kind of, I mean, the price action is telling me it's not great for at least for alts, but I don't know. Hopefully we have a great rest of the month. We head into the summer and there's just tons of great stuff coming in the summer. So
yeah, there's quite a bit. I'm looking at 74K on Bitcoin's next levels, and somewhere around 3,500 or so on Ethereum's next levels.
Yeah.
So and the newer projects, it's harder to do that sort of those projections.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody wants my price targets for Aave or SNX or whatever, I mean, I'm really reasonable. I've heard some crazy ones. I do think Aave has really good tokenomics. It's a deflationary one. The total supply is 16 million. I think there's only 13 million out right now. So it's pretty comparable to Bitcoin. It's actually even better than ETH as like a SOV prospect. Just because ETH is just as hopium as Aave, just less supply. But Aave could go. I mean, it's so funny. My friend was like 10K Aave, 20K Aave, and I was like, I'm down, but I'm like 1 to 3K maybe. And then like SNX, I don't know, $60 to $100 maybe. If it does more than that, then it's great. I heard some crazy guy say 2192, and I'm like, maybe. I don't know. I don't like those crazy extreme price targets. It's almost better to set a reasonable one and then it breaks it and you're just like amazing, like way more than I expected. I mean, personally, I don't know how you do it. I mean, but also you've had way more years of experience. I'm like, I just try to set it reasonable so I don't get disappointed personally. I know you just do more of a measured move, like actual systematic thing. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, seems reasonable to go over. Like there's been this is, I know we need to wrap it up, but this is like the last thing. There's this really interesting thing called Benford's Law. I don't know if you've heard about this, but it's normally used for accounting, to catch accounting fraud. But it's basically the theory that, numbers go from 1 to 10 and 10 to 100. And this is kind of true. I mean, I've been like looking at it, investing, and it warrants an actual systematic study. But it is true, once it gets past 10, it sounds dumb, but it's more likely it's going to try to go to 100, Well,
I'm on board with 100. I think it has, I did a bar by bar review of Bitcoin since inception, and it moves in, that way from 0 to 100, 100 to 1,000, 1,000 to 10, well, 20. But ultimately what it did is it overshot each time, but then you found a bar or a level. And if we were to go back and look at the last couple of years on Bitcoin, 10,000 was It spent more time right around 10,000 certainly than it did 20,000. That's for sure. And certainly more time than it did down near 3,000 or 4,000. So it kind of, even though price, that order of 10 or whatever it is, would say we overshoot to 200,000, which is kind of how I came to that 200,000 price target. And then we fall back into the 10 area, 30, 60, 120, like all around. But you look back a couple of years and you say, yeah, 100 was pretty much that line in the sand. And so ultimately, like qualitatively or just like, back of the envelope, 100K on Bitcoin is the thing. And the same would go for Ethereum, where we would be at 13, 14,000. Not 1,700. So
yeah, I mean, hopefully they work out their supply thing. I mean, they're gonna burn some ETH. It's the question of how much are they gonna burn.
Yep.
At the end of the day. But I mean, yeah, that I think we've given people kind of a good expectation, a little bit of backdrop of what's going on right now, and reach out on Twitter, and if you have any questions, happy to answer.
That's
definitely
twitter.com at
crypto Derrick Z, I believe. Let me triple check my at. Yes, at crypto Derrick Z. I am a real person. If there are any traditional finance people that have some questions, I'm happy to answer. I talk to a number of people in the group now, and honestly, learn a lot from them. And also a plug for the group: come join the group. There's a lot to learn there. If you're struggling to find direction, I'll give you the last thing is, hey, when I started in Chris's group, believe it or not, I was just head deep in macro world. I don't know how I got there, because I was a crypto person to start with. And 9 months later, I've been profitable for about 6 months now. And, on my way to, doing this more full time by the end of the year, I would say. So,
outstanding.
Good plug. Recommend if you just need some solid ground. Very much recommended.
Thanks, sir.
Yep.
PollinatedTrading.com/lab. That's what that is. Well, it's good chatting with you, Aaron. Do pollinate.com or pollinatedtrading.com / how to crypto or how to DeFi is the article, or just go to Pollinate and it's in the top navigation. Take a look at that, read that article. He did a great job of taking you from here's how the internet works to I'm just kidding, here's crypto to here's how you can really take advantage of the DeFi stuff. We'll probably do something on a little bit more complex, continue to push it out. We'll do this as long as you're interested, Aaron. We'll do more episodes and continue covering things whenever you're ready. Whenever you got an idea, we'll have you on, and that's it, I think.
Yeah, sounds good. Happy Monday, y'all. Hopefully end of the week we're all super green. Got some green candles.
That's right. All right, take care.